With just mere hours to go until the 2021 NBA draft, let's take a look at 4 guys who I think will be excellent value in the second round. Let's start with Bones Hyland out of VCU, who comes in at 6'4" with a long wingspan over 6'9", but a really skinny 164 pounds. Hyland's physique is all bones, but the 20-year-old guard looks like a winner at the next level. I see his most immediate role in the NBA as a microwave scorer or sixth-man type, almost like some version of Lou Williams or Jamal Crawford. As seen in these clips, Hyland can make it rain from deep off the pull-up. He was a 39% three-point shooter in college at 6 attempts per game. Right now, I see Hyland as a valuable late first or early second round pick. He can score in bunches, but Hyland is not really a lead guard or facilitator. He can make a nice pass once in a while, but that is not really his role. At VCU, he averaged less than 2 assists per game. On top of that, Hyland is not reliable or steady as a playmaker at all. He should have the length to carve out creative passing angles, but Bones is very prone to turnovers. Last season, he had 24 more turnovers than assists because Hyland will constantly telegraph his passes, miss the window to give up the ball, or be loose with the rock. Another issue is that even though Hyland plays with really good toughness, his frame is just too skinny. Hyland is an extremely narrow 164 pounds, and right now he would be the second skinniest player in the NBA. So even though he has the handle and the desire to get to his spots, Hyland can be knocked off balance or deterred because he simply cannot really play through contact. Offensively, Hyland is a raw microwave scorer right now, but I think he has shown enough on defense to get a real NBA look. Hyland plays with great effort, such as here when he blocks the three-pointer. He hustles to execute his rotations, gets down in a stance, and knows how to use his 6'9" wingspan. Last season, Hyland averaged almost 2 steals per game. Even though he will be a mismatch in the NBA because of his weight, I expect Hyland to compensate with some steals and competitive defense. Given his potential as a pull-up shooter, wingspan, motor, and some passing flashes, I am comfortable selecting Hyland anywhere in that 25-ish to 35-ish range. Speaking of late first or early second round picks, let's talk Jericho Sims. The big man out of Texas comes in at 6'10" with a wingspan over 7'3" and a chiseled 250 pounds. Sims' offensive role in the NBA is very simple. He is not a fancy finesse center. Sims is a guy who will live close to the basket, play above the rim, or catch and finish. The 4-year man is not a flashy pick, but he is someone who fills a role as a backup or end-of-the-bench center on any team. If you throw something up at him, he is a good enough vertical athlete to catch it. That applies on offensive rebounds as well. Otherwise, Sims is happy enough to run the floor hard, rim to rim, or live in the paint to collect easy points. If he gets the ball, Sims will absolutely try to dunk it. That is why the 6'10" center is so effective in the appropriately named for him dunker spot. Sims does not want the ball in his hands for long stretches of time. If you keep the task simple for him though, he will fulfill it. Sims can make short side-to-side cuts or be an active presence around the rim for guards to find. On that same note, he is a very easy fit in pick-and-roll situations. This is everything you want from a backup big. Sims makes himself wide, setting screens to open up space for the guards, and then has great timing on his rolls. Sims will wait for an opening to surface and make his move. From there, he can either catch for a dunk, or he has even shown some craft with patience at the basket and this little floater. I feel very comfortable playing him in this capacity. But when drafting Sims, you have to keep in mind that he is not a self-sufficient player in the slightest. Sims is entirely dependent on his teammates. He cannot create his own shot at any level, definitely not with his jump shot, but also not even down low. Sims is not a finesse player at all, like I said earlier. You don't want him putting the ball on the floor or trying to post others up, because those are not great looks. So for Sims to really work, you have to understand his strengths, conceal his weaknesses, and understand his role. However, I believe that Sims' stock has risen in the pre-draft process because of his defense. At the NBA Draft Combine, Sims showed that he is comfortable defending in the pick and roll, not just attacking. Sims can come up high on screens and contain or cause some problems. He is still someone who you play in a more conservative system, but that was nice to see. On top of that, Sims showed that he can guard down positions, such as here when he slides with the drive and comes up with the block. Sims can check wings or even some guards for small periods of time. He has good mobility at 6'10", and his length can really bother attackers. Sims has good discipline and tries hard to stay in front of others. Because of his ability to flip his hips and big, long frame, he is hard to get around or over. Of course, Sims can also block shots. For me, there are worse ideas than drafting a backup big that is an easy fit while having some real defensive potential. Now, we go with Trendon Watford at 6'9", 237 with a wingspan over 7'2". Watford belongs in an entirely different category than Jericho Sims. Despite only being 1 inch shorter, their games could not look less alike. Watford is the type of guy who you target in the late second round as a high upside swing. He is a very unique player, but also one who produces winning plays. Essentially, Watford is a ball handling forward who excels at creating for others and, as you can see, putting the ball on the floor. He is really fluid as a ball handler, legitimately able to keep the ball on a string and defenders on their heels. Watford is really comfortable operating out on the perimeter, drawing bigs out, and then putting the ball on the floor to attack them. He averaged 16 points per game this year at LSU, a lot of them coming on plays like this. Watford is strong with the ball, seeks contact, and comes up with crafty finishes. Watch here as Watford puts the ball on the floor and gets the finish. Like I said earlier, Watford is also a facilitator. He had the ball in his hands a lot of the time at LSU because their coaching staff was right to feel comfortable with him making decisions. Watford averaged less than 3 assists per game, but I think that's misleading. He can run simple actions like handoffs or dribble handoffs, but Watford is also capable of passing on the short roll or on the move. Watch here, for instance, as Watford brings the ball up, avoids the charge, and finds the unorthodox pass out for 3. Or again here, it's the grab and go into the dump pass by Watford. However, Watford's offensive game becomes less exciting when you realize his below average athleticism. Watford relies on these types of floaters so much because he cannot always get to the rim. They worked sometimes at the college level, but that is entirely different in the NBA. At the end of the day, Watford is really a below-the-rim type of vertical athlete, and the LSU standout is also a non-shooter from the outside. He is a career 29% average shooter from 3 on low volume with uninspiring, slow mechanics. Watford has soft touch on his floater, but it has not translated to the outside or free throw line. If he made his threes, that would open up the rest of Watford's game in terms of passing and driving lanes, but I am not too hopeful. Defensively, the reading on Watford is pretty bad. Right now, he is caught between positions. He is not athletic or big enough to guard the 5, but he is also not good at all in space, so it's not like he can guard smaller players. Watford's lack of natural athleticism going up and sideways really shows on this end of the floor. Whether he is on an island, trying to contain the dribble, or closing out, Watford cannot be relied on right now. On top of that, Watford is also not a rim protector. He cannot defend the basket and has shown very little guarding the pick and roll. Last up, we have another big in Mamo Kalashvili out of Seton Hall. He came in at 6'10" with a below average standing reach at about 8'10". Like Watford, Mamo Kalashvili projects as another ball handling forward type. The Georgian big man loves to handle and put the ball on the floor. He played a sort of point forward role in his senior season and really earned some second round buzz. As you can see in these clips, Mamo Kalashvili is a fluid ball handler who can legit grab and go in the open court. He has a snug handle and can attack slower mismatches or draw fouls. Overall, I really like his ability to put the ball on the floor. Watch here as he fakes the handoffs and then goes right into a spin and push shot. Or here, Mamo Kalashvili is quick getting into the lane, attacking off the catch, and finishing. But despite being a 6'10" forward, Mamo Kalashvili really does not play very tough. He can generate advantages handling the ball or in grab-and-go situations, but then he fails to take the ball all the way. Mamo Kalashvili is a slightly better athlete than Watford, but he suffers from the same problem in that he takes a lot of floaters. In his case though, it's because Mamo Kalashvili shies away from contact and does not embrace physicality. This play is an example of that, as he does not even look for the strong finish. However, the hope is that Mamo Kalashvili can make up for some of his scoring problems with his passing. Mamo Kalashvili is legitimately a good playmaker who can make tight passes and see over the top of defenses. He got a bit over 3 assists per game at Seton Hall this year and handled the ball plenty. Mamo Kalashvili is a smart passer in multiple ways. He can make good reads with his back to the basket, but with his ball handling ability, he is also adept at finding teammates on the move. Moving out to the 3-point line, this is an improvement area for Mamo Kalashvili. I believe he has some potential since he actually shot 43% from deep as a junior, but that season appears to be an outlier since he has always shot in the pretty low 30s. Mamo Kalashvili is a willing shooter, but a very inconsistent one. He has a quick release, but he can rush it either by not setting his feet well enough or not following through on his shot. If he is able to make trays, defenses will have to respect his overall game a lot more. The last time we saw Mamo Kalashvili at the NBA Draft Combine though, his 3-point shooting was rocky, to say the least. But on defense, I thought Mamo Kalashvili silenced some of the doubts about him. He showed that he can play aggressively to guard the pick and roll, able to come out high and then recover. Watch here for instance as he ends up getting the deflection on the pass. Mamo Kalashvili is an okay athlete who can shuffle his feet and slide for a tiny bit. He is never going to be a stopper, but he just has to be okay enough to not give up what he brings offensively. For instance, watch here as Mamo Kalashvili comes up high on the pick and roll and bothers the ball handler. Then he recovers to the closeout, stays in front of the drive, but it's just a tough make. However, Mamo Kalashvili will need to make plays like this on a regular basis. For now, he has not shown consistently that he is disciplined enough to switch out for moments, or sturdy enough to protect the rim. Alright, so I'm going to keep this brief, but let's go one by one over everyone that we just highlighted, starting with Bones Hyland. Hyland, for me, out of the 4 here, he is the most exciting talent to watch and the most pure sense of the word. He will get you buckets, he will come up with huge shots, and in my opinion, he definitely has a place in the late 1st round or in the early 2nd. With Jericho Sims, like I said in the video, he is the least flashy pick out of the 4, but he is the most stable. And what I mean by that is that Sims should have an NBA role from day 1. On offense, you keep things really simple. Catch and finish, play above the rim, catching lobs, offensive rebounding, that's it. And then on defense, you have a 6'10" guy who is a really good athlete, who can block shots, who is comfortable stepping out on the perimeter to some extent, and I think he will have a long career in the NBA. With Watford and Mamo Kalashvili, we're kind of talking about similar types of players, not exactly, but they do kind of have the same strengths and similar weaknesses. These are guys that for me, you target at the end of the 2nd round. Focusing on Watford specifically, the 3-pointer and the athleticism are big areas of worry for me. Because if neither of those things come around or Watford does not figure out how to get around them, then there will be no lanes for him to drive or pass into. Mamo Kalashvili, I think, is a little bit more advanced than Watford right now in terms of NBA projection, but I do still have some of the same concerns. Can he defend well enough in order to be a plus offensively? Is his 3-pointer legit? How real is his handle and how real is his passing in the increased margins and tighter windows in the NBA? Of course, we'll see, and it will not take long for us to see whether any of these guys get drafted. As always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, make sure to leave a comment, tell me what you think of these guys, or if you have any other general questions for me ahead of the draft, I'll do my best to answer them. And if you enjoy the channel, if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe. Take care, and I'll see you guys next time.